Good morning. Welcome to the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show in our 23rd year. I'm Harvey Freed. Alongside of me, the greatest panel of all, Becky Alley.
Hey, what is going on, everyone? It is a tornado out there. I was like, Annie M., I am coming to Kansas to find you. I got blown away getting in my car.
I actually watched it this week. We'll talk about that. We got 1 hour of the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show. And, of course, me and Becky are joined by the fabulous Lisa Lawson.
Morning, everybody.
Hey, Lisa, you're coming in. Like Becky said, she was coming in hot. You're coming all the way in from Macomb County.
Like a skipping stone, but I love it. No other way.
That's why I texted Becky this morning. I'm like, I'm warning you now. I'm coming in hot. Be ready.
Two wheels.
Yeah, two
Great
wheels.
stuff.
It was one of those mornings.
Lisa, you bring in one of our favorites, Matt
Yes.
Bush, Remax First. Hey, Matt, thanks for joining
He's
us.
my favorite.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
One of your favorites.
Ric Flair.
Yeah, you are like Ric
Let's do
Flair.
it. Let's do it.
Welcome back
Two
to the
taps.
show. We are going to talk all about first-time home buyers today. We're going to talk about the loan limit change and how that might affect you. All sorts of great stuff if Lisa doesn't knock over that table
Lisa's like
over there.
knocking
Coming in
over
hot.
the
She
station.
is coming in hot. Again, we're going to take your calls here. 1 hour of the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show. 248-539-9797. You're buying or selling a house. You need to call us. Yes, I am that guy, Becky, in the Southfield office all week long. I've been doing this for a lot of years. I'm sort of yelling at the phone and we're talking with title companies. There's a lot of unprepared files out there. People haven't been doing, not everybody, but there's so many folks out there, first-time home buyers, aren't getting pre-approved the right way.
That is right. You actually cannot have the same conversation enough times with people, because even when they're going through the process and you're going through the details with them, they're still like, well, I don't understand. So when people are pressing buttons for pre-approvals, there's no way that they're well equipped, because even the people that are going through the process still don't even understand the process they're going through, even when you're hand holding them. And when they're getting confused, and there have a lot of people out there with these pieces of paper, they're still floating around in their hands, and they don't know what their down payment is. They don't know what their payments are. And if you're looking to buy a house, even within the next 5 months, you cannot start that conversation soon enough, because you need to be well equipped. You need to be educated. And that is such a big part of what we do at Capital Mortgage Funding on the daily. And that's why when Harvey gets fired up, it's rightfully so, because he's like, how are you talking to these people? I don't understand.
I literally had someone call yesterday. She called through, thought, the state of Michigan has a line for people who are looking for experienced loan officers that need a little assistance. And that's the line they called, even though...
They got the bat phone
Excuse me,
for you.
yeah.
You're on the bat
Yes,
phone.
I'm on
I
the bat
know
phone.
you are.
And she's like, I've been in process. We were supposed to close before Thanksgiving. She's like, I don't know what's going on. I sent an email. My person's going to be out for a week. Then they said the supervisor's going to be out for a week. And she's like, this is ridiculous. It's already been 6.5 weeks.
How in a nice way, Becky, and we're going to get
No
to
way
Matt
of even
Bush.
close to being closed. She has no idea when she's closing. She has no idea what's happened. She doesn't know if title's ordered. She did know that her appraisal was ordered. She didn't even have a copy of her purchase agreement. I'm like, how in the world do you buy a house and not know these things? So we're stepping in, taking care of it for her, and we're starting.
So she
Monday.
called. So she's trying to go through MIJDA.
Yep.
And
she doesn't even qualify because this house is $400 and some odd thousand.
okay, so she is under contract,
Yes.
and she just randomly, because there's a list. So what she's saying is, if you have anyone that's ever done a loan with the state of Michigan, there's a list that they have, so someone can call in and they can get hooked up with someone at Capital Mortgage Funding on a whim, right?
Right.
So she calls this line, they get her connected with you, and you're looking at it, and she's under contract and has nothing, just have no idea what's going on.
no idea what's going on, and was told she was going to close before Thanksgiving.
Well, it's going to be after Thanksgiving.
Well, that's what I said. I said, so what's the status? And
we
she
missed
doesn't
that
know.
one.
The turkeys have trotted.
Yes.
The
She has
chickens-
no idea, and she's like, "Can we get closed by the end of the year?" I'm like, "I have no problem doing that whatsoever." But we're starting from the beginning.
It's okay. You'll get it done.
I'll totally
You'll
get it done. I'm
and
not
you'll
even
make
worried
work.
about it. But it's so frustrating for the buyer who's not kept informed, doesn't understand what's happening.
And that's why who you work with matters,
Yes.
because imagine what kind of vetting did the listing agent do to this buyer? How did they qualify the buyer and say, hey, Mr. Seller, I've got a buyer for you. We're going to accept this offer. And I mean, there can't be a pre-approval letter because they haven't been pre-approved for anything. So you've got a seller on the other side who thought they were going to close 6 weeks ago, right?
It's so funny you
And
say that,
They've got they're waiting on their bag,
Yeah.
they're waiting on their funds because they're probably going to do something Christmas or New Year's. And now they're not going to close because their listing agent just completely fumbled.
Right. Well, I asked him,
everything.
I said, well, how much are you putting down? And she was like 20%. And then she's like, well, she finally was able to find a purchase agreement, but it's not fully executed, her copy. And then she's like, it says I'm putting 25% down. And like, she doesn't even know these things. And I'm like, well, I don't understand how this even comes to be. How are you a week and a half late and don't have a
So
Fun
there's
out
two
of it.
things. There's two things here.
So
So
much
it's
happening.
one. What I'm taking away is what I'm hearing is we almost take for granted, right?
Yes.
The fact that we are so involved with our clients that. So when we are talking about these things that happen, it's like when they fall on our lap, it almost like we are beside ourselves because it is just like the idea of someone not closing on time and not being, and my people not being properly communicated.
Right.
Why, what's happening? This is why, because sometimes things do happen on transactions, and sometimes transactions are harder than others. But that communication is key in
Right.
reaching across the aisle and letting all agents know, especially your clients. So it's like when you hear this, you're like, oh my God, this really is real life. And the other element I'm taking about is something that you brought up on the podcast, Matt, where it is, these agents, right? They're talking about with 30% of agents, which I think is like, I think it's going to be more than that,
I hope
are going to
so.
be out of the business. But you're right. They're not answering their phones
Yeah.
because they are now, it got hard. It's a little bit hard, just the tints. And they're
You have to work now.
Yes. And so now they're going into their other jobs and they're not answering their phones. They're not making those proper calls ahead of time to set everyone up for success. And then therefore, it's giving other people in the industry a black eye that do this on the regular.
But at the same rate, like these stories are exactly why, iBuyers have failed in the Southwest because
Yeah.
who do you call when you don't know where to go,
Correct.
right?
And
You
that was her
call,
problem.
you call an
Ghostbusters?
800 number.
Right.
Yeah. You call an 800 number and get put with somebody else who finally gets the ball rolling. That's why, iBuyers aren't here in the Midwest. Could you imagine how Midwest nice someone have to be to end up not calling or to like scream at an iBuyer?
Right.
Or
So
one of
explain
these-
what an iBuyer is.
So these Zillows, these Open Doors, whatever these
Oh, they're
websites
such
that
a
just buy
joke.
houses from you and then they allegedly sell the houses too, where you just basically press a button, you buy a house, or you press a button and you get a mortgage. But
It's impossible. You
What
cannot press
documents are
button.
you sending? How do you qualify this person? Like, how are you, making that person an actual buyer and converting them from just a cold lead to keys in hand? It's
Well,
just an absolute joke.
It's so funny, and to touch on that is this poor person calls and she's like, I go, well, what does your pre-approval say? And she's like, it says I'm pre-qualified. That's
trouble.
literally, she's reading it to
Yeah.
me, and I said,
Ouch.
I know, and I felt terrible, and I said, pre-qualification isn't the same as an approval. And so we went through this. I literally spent over an hour on the phone with her because it's not her fault. She doesn't know. She hasn't bought a house in like 30. This is, mom called, got involved.
Yeah.
Mom hasn't bought a house in 30 some odd years, and the person or the people that were helping her weren't giving her correct information, weren't helping her along, weren't keeping her informed. And I think people just take it for granted, and it's so not fair to anybody.
Lisa, I got a new transaction. I told Matt the purchase agreement was originally dated August 24th. This
Whoa.
other team, and it might have something to do with the people down in Detroit here too. This original transaction, August 24th. And not only that, like you guys said, it takes all the fun out of purchasing a house, Becky. Not only that, the client doesn't know from A to Z. He never even heard about he had to go get homeowners insurance. An absolute debacle. I told Harry, this could be the last hardcore mortgage show for me because I might go over the edge and say the wrong thing, the truth. I'm going to end up telling everyone the truth that 90% of the people out there, maybe in real estate, maybe in lending, don't know necessarily what they're doing. I can say that after 31 years, Becky, and if I can, well, they'll throw me off the air next week. What can I do?
Yeah, because we are in a business where it's you kind of learn through experiences. And, it's not exactly like I've been in the business 20 years. Look at me. Okay, well, you can also be out of touch. Like we talk about that. You can be completely out of touch with the market, right? But you need to be connected to people that are connected to the earth, connected to what's going on, connected to their craft, and constantly doing it. And someone that is just trained to be a salesperson on the phone is not someone that can look at your file, look at your credit, fix it on a dime, pivot around something that came up because you didn't know any better, and you maybe opened up got furniture for a house you don't own yet because you're super excited. These little things that are buyers sometimes do
Glitches.
unintentionally because they're excited, they don't know. Well, we have to be able to maneuver around that, and there's a lot of lending institutions that do not know how to do that because they have to pass it around to somebody else. And by the time they identify the problem, it's already a forest fire and you can't get around it.
Well, I'm going to say something slightly controversial here. Because,
Yeah, do it.
All right. So
Are we gonna get canceled?
Well, I hope not. I hope not. So we at Capital Mortgage Funding have a vested interest in closing your transaction because I'm going to put it out there. I don't get paid until your loan closes. Other big box space related companies pay when an application is taken. They don't care if your loan closes because they pay their loan officers every app they take. They take 10 apps, they get paid 10. You close 5. Oh, well, the other 5 just didn't close.
Yeah.
And it's not how reputable people work. We pay at closing.
And Lise, we all know about those hostage takers. We've got so
Yeah.
much to add. We've got another 50 minutes plus here. Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show. Give us a call, 248-539-9797. We're going to help you buy and sell that house. Talk to you soon. All right, welcome back to the show. There you go, Eric. Keep it up here, 9:15. You're listening to the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show, brought to you by Capital Mortgage Funding. We are powered by Fairway Independent Mortgage Corporation, NMLS 2289, Equal Housing Lender. That's right, folks. If you want a mortgage, you want to get your family into a great house, call us here live on the show. 248-539-9797. Got so much to share with you. Purchase activity rose again during the holiday season. We saw a little lower interest rates for the last couple weeks. Really starting to look good. Usually a little slower time of the year, but we're going to talk about the opportunity now, Becky.
I feel like the last couple of years, we really haven't had any slowdown. I mean, obviously, like I was just talking about this last night. While I was kitchen karaokeing with some real estate agents. It was a good time. But we were talking about how, like, obviously the last 2 years was like almost fantasy land. land as far as like the
or nightmare land, depending on which side you're
depending
coming
on what
from.
you're looking at. So like, just the amount of business that was just there, but there were so many people that bought houses that they now regret that they bought because they bought sight unseen. They bought just because they wanted to win. And in
Just
those
caught up in the frenzy.
Yeah, they did. And so now, I was like trying to get like a little bit of a feel for this is a perfect time for a buyer. It truly is. It's not a buyer's market by any means as far as the inventory, but because it's the serious people. And right now they can win. You literally can see a house 2 times, make a real decision.
Right.
You don't feel pressure. You know what your payment's going to be. You
Yeah.
know what your down payment's going to be. We have time to really work numbers multiple times to be like, all right, we're looking at this house. I don't know what I'm going to get. I'm just going to throw it in and see what happens. And then we're going to work backwards where we don't have to do that. And
Right.
the rates are very, very affordable. We're in about the 6s right now. And they came down quite a bit. I think we're going to probably end up, I feel like my personal belief is that we're going to end up in the 5s ultimately once they like all the dust settles and all the things. But
Early
it's
next year,
Yeah,
yeah.
but I do think that it's still an amazing time for people to get out there and buy. And people are hesitant for whatever reason for a brief moment, but I do not think we're going to see a slowdown through the winter months, nor we had any slowdowns, I think, for the last several years.
The best part is you're right. It's not a buyer's market. I've coined the term borrower's market,
Yeah.
right? Lenders are getting flexible because they want to get money out the door still.
Mm-hmm.
Sellers are willing to buy down your rate too. So if you're a borrower right now, this is the time to get in, because if you do a rate buy down, the seller's going to pay for your rate to go lower. So if you're at a 3.21 and you lock in at a 7, for the first year you're going to be at a 4, then the second year is going to be at a 5, and then a 6, and then you're overall going to lock in at 7 over 30 years. But we all know the average American either sells or refinances every 5 years. So
Yeah.
you're never even going to see that for most likely. And if we buy now at the 7s and it refinances into or if you settles in the 5s, Becky, Lisa, Harvey, you guys are going to call them and say, hey, you remember that 7 you bought in it? Hey, it's a 5, so let's go ahead and refinance. And while we're refinancing, let's get rid of your PMI, and that's going to save you a couple $100 a month. Let's notice, did you do any improvements? All right, great. So you have even more equity in the house. Do you want to take any of that money out? Do you want your down payment back? You basically just bought a house for free 6 months ago now because you've got all the money that you put in the down payment back. You got any improvements, the paint, the walls that you redid, the floors, the kitchen, all that money is now equity that's going to be in your pocket. The PMI is going to be gone.
That seller concession money, however you want to use it. Do you want to use it to buy down the rate permanently? Do you want to do one of these buy down programs,
Temporary
321, a 21, or 10 buy down? Understand that money because, again, we found out, of course, the new programs that are out there now, that money gets put into an escrow account and it gets dropped off your principal balance when you go to refinance. So that is one of the nuances, one of the new programs, Becky. It's the new du jour out there.
Yeah.
It's sexy. It's given us a reason to talk about some different types of options out there. I don't love it so much because I see the younger families that are buying, they're still carrying $4,000 to $10,000 worth of credit card debt.
Yeah.
Becky, those are 18 to 23%.
Yeah, it's not a program for everybody, but it does make sense for the people that it makes sense for. So what Matt was kind of talking about is this 3-2-1 or 2-1 or 1 buy down where the seller contributes towards your closing costs and that money goes towards you temporary buying, down your interest rate. So it starts
Temporarily,
at, yeah,
correct.
temporarily. So it would, let's just say your qualifying rate is 6%. You can start at 4 and then the next year it's going to be 5. The next year it's going to be 6. Well, what we're talking about is let's just say you start off at 4 and the rates actually really settle down at 5% in a year from now. Well, you don't want to be temporary at 5%. So let's just say you're at a point where you want to actually do a refinance. So now that way your rate is fixed at that 5% rate. Well, that money that went into this escrow account for your temporary buy down, it does go towards buying your principal down. But in that situation, like what Harvey's saying, sometimes that money, the concession money, you might be better off just using that to reduce your overall funds for closing so you can turn around and pay off that toxic credit card debt
Right.
that maybe you got in trouble with over the last year because COVID, you didn't maybe work like you were considered non-essential and you tacked up some stuff. So all these things is what we analyze for you. And I would rather take an extra business day doing someone's pre-approval to make sure that I have looked at every single scenario.
Absolutely.
And Lisa's really good at that. I know, Harvey, you really take that to heart because if you are getting a pre-approval in 5 minutes, you have not been properly qualified, nor do I doubt anyone really had proper communication with you.
Right.
There's so much more. At least I'll let you. I don't. I
Yeah.
just.
That's
There's
okay, go
so
ahead.
much more to know about a mortgage than the
Yes.
interest rate. The interest rate's been irrelevant.
It's arbitrary.
It can change at any time.
Yeah.
It's really the least important part. Having that plan and process. And your comments.
I was
on
going
it.
to say there's so much more to a mortgage
Yeah.
than the rate. And I think what happens is everybody has been trained, right? They hear, ask, what's the rate?
What's the rate?
What's the rate? And back in the day, and I'm talking, this is like 15 years ago, I'd be like, what do you want the rate to be? And they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, you can buy the rate to anything. If the
I love
market
that,
rate is
yeah.
5 and you want it to be a 3.5, fine, we'll be a 3.5. It's going to cost you, we could do it. Mm-hmm. You know, the reality is the rate is arbitrary. It's going to change. It's not permanent. The biggest thing is your financial health, and the rate,
Yeah.
you know, obviously plays a part in that. And I'm going to use the word manipulate. But we can manipulate the rate. We can buy the rate down. We can get seller concessions.
The government manipulates the rate.
Right, all the time. So that is, it. You know, it's yes, it's a part of the equation. But the biggest thing is your cash flow for the month. Does it make more sense to get concessions of maybe $5,000 because you have a credit card with a $5,000 balance and a $200 minimum monthly payment? And guess what? You could use the money you've saved already and pay that card off and never have to worry about it again and get concessions to pay the closing costs. There's so many other the moving pieces when you're qualifying for a mortgage, and a good loan officer is going to be the one that spends a half hour with you on the phone going through what are your liabilities. You know, do you have anything that isn't showing up, in your credit report? Maybe you have a daughter who loves horseback riding and you want
There
to
you
make
go.
sure her lessons are paid for, and it's $600 a month.
I have
That
two
is-
of those.
Right, but that's not reflected.
Travel
You know,
sports.
like they call barn fees or whatever. They
Mm-hmm.
maybe have to come up with $600 a month that isn't reflected on any credit report. You have to have these conversations.
A 1,000%.
I
And
want to tee
even-
up Matt here too with something. Go
Yeah, I
ahead.
just want to touch, kind of piggyback what she's saying just real quick. Is even with a refinance,
Yeah.
I actually have a longtime client of mine reached out. This is technically not a refinance market, okay, but again, it's that cash flow. What are you doing? And I have a longtime client. She had to put her daughter through college. She's racked up some debt and all the things, and we're in a temporary payment. Where we're changing we're restructuring her mortgage. We're allowing her biggest asset to work for her. We looked at every other scenario, and this was the best one that was going to free up $1,500 a month
Yeah,
while she's
no-brainer.
still on a 15-year mortgage. She's not losing any time. And then if the rate's changing, we're going to look to analyze it to maybe put her on a 10-year at that point. But this is totally structured to that $1,500 a month. In the next 5 years, she's going to have nothing but her mortgage, because whatever we didn't pay, she now has the funds, the cash flow
Right.
to turn around and eliminate all that debt. And we spent so much time analyzing that to make sure that she was going to be set up for success. And that is what separates us from other people, because we are not just loan officers. I feel like we really do analyze
Right.
the situation because we understand the numbers.
We want to put
that-
people in a position to have financial success.
I like that. That equity is key in changing people's lives. All right, Matt, here's your tee up. Realtor.com predicts home prices will rise 5.4% in 2023. I like 5% appreciation.
Love it. Yeah, absolutely. We're not seeing builders build right now. So inventory is staying flat. You can't make dirt, right? So if you can't make dirt, you can't put new houses on dirt. So where we are, in Michigan, we're not one of these, target magnet markets like a Charlotte or somewhere in the Sun Belt like Atlanta or Phoenix. So we're not getting these builders, this population growth. So we're pretty much going to stay where we stay. So when you hear on the media, record housing booms and this and that, like, our pending home sales are down. Our buyers are down because people don't want to get in the market. They're scared, but that's understandable. That's why it takes a village, to raise a kid or to put together a mortgage, because I need a lender who can talk the system to educate the buyer. I need an agent who can show houses and can explain, all right, this is where we are on this house versus this house, can explain the process. A title company, someone who picks up the phone, which is
Yeah.
the thing that is the weirdest
Isn't
thing.
that the
Like,
weirdest thing to
how-
say,
like,
that even
I'm
just
calling
answering
you-
your phone is like a thing
It's
too?
a thing.
It's a thing. Like, people don't
Yeah.
answer the phone. I don't
and
understand.
Why is it people don't leave messages? I'm the person, if I have a missed call and I'm on the phone, and when I'm off, I call the missed number back and be like, "Hi, I just missed a call from you," and they're like, "Oh." I
thought
was
I
like,
was
"Well, you
like-
didn't leave a voicemail." I'm like, "But you called me twice, so I figured you needed to talk." Like,
I
it's
know
just a
you
thing.
made a mistake. Hey, how you doing? You made the wrong number. Hey, renters
That's
don't.
happened too. I've made friends that way.
The renters don't need to read the tea leaves to figure out that prices are going to
tea leaves?
continue to rise, right? I mean, folks, prices are going to continue to rise.
Yeah, and the tell of that is the fact that the conventional loan limit has just been increased to 726,200.
200, there you go.
And that shows that we are in an appreciating market, because the average. So if Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, if they're going to increase your conventional loan limit, that means that we're on this upward tick still. So even though we're coming off 18% appreciation, 5% is still an appreciating market. So therefore, people that are not buying right now, they're like, oh, I'm going to wait. Well, you're going to wait, and now you're going to step into that same house is now going to be more money. So if you can invest in yourself now, start the conversations because it's going to set yourself up for success. Like I even have a client right now. He's like, oh, well, I'm thinking about I want to rent, and all the houses that I like, the ones I like are the rentals. I'm like, okay, of course, because they put the lipstick on it already. They want you to like that house if you're looking for the turnkey. There is power in slapping your own colors on the wall, and therefore you're investing in yourself. Because of course the investors already identified the fact that if you're not buying, you have to rent somewhere, and investors are really going to capitalize in this market if buyers do not.
Investors have all put the gray granite. They'll have gray paint on the wall, the wood floor. I hate to say it, but it's cookie cutter. And if that's what you like, that's great. But wouldn't you like to have your own cookie? It might be just like your next door neighbor's chocolate chip cookie, but it's yours. You get to do with it what you want.
Is it a salt cookie? But you know what? As bad as we talk about toxic credit card debt at 18 at 26% interest, the worst debt is your rent debt, which is 100% interest, right? So wouldn't you always rather pay 6.5% to 7% on something as opposed to 100%? You've got people who bought houses 4 or 5 years ago who are renting their house for $1,800-$1,900. Their mortgage is only $600 or $700. So you're paying double somebody's interest just to not have to cut grass or to be more convenient. Invest in yourself. Not everybody's right to be a homeowner, but a lot more people are right to be homeowners than give themselves credit to. So it only takes a phone call to figure out, hey, if I'm not ready to be a homeowner today, how can I put myself in position to be a homeowner in 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, and start investing in myself?
You cannot have the conversation soon enough.
All right, we're in the Motor City, folks. It's just like sort of leasing a car versus owning a car, and that market changed quite a bit. A lot of families out there are really wishing they own their car versus leasing. So sort of the same type of thing.
I want to talk about car payments when we come back, too.
We're going to dive into it all. 248-539-9797. You've got it here on the Hardcore Mortgage Show. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the show. We would like to take your calls, 248-539-9797. It's a hardcore mortgage real estate business show. Harvey Free, Lisa Lawson, Becky Ellie, all with Capital Mortgage Funding, our corporation, Fairway Independent Mortgage Corporation, top 10 lender in the United States. We offer every single mortgage available. If you need down payment assistance, if you need your credit fixed, deal with the real professionals. There's a huge difference between the people you work with. And let's go out to our caller now. We got Jeff calling in. You got a question about a rental. Good morning, Jeff, and thanks for calling in. Go ahead.
Yes, good morning. Yes, I have a rental, and my renter moved out back in July, and she left half of a two-car garage of her belongings remain there. And I've given her several deadlines to come and get it. She moved out of town to the East Coast, and she said, I'll come and get it. I'm coming. I'll come and get it. And she never comes.
I would just put one last thing in writing to her. I would send an email showing that you can print it out. Print out your emails to her and your letters to her. That way, in case this becomes a court issue or something, give her the choice. Say, look, you can either grab your stuff or you can pay this bill, your storage bill. And then pretty much you're calling, what are those places that
College hunks hauling junk, or Two Men in a Truck.
Yeah, any of those companies. What did you say?
College hunks hauling junk.
There's a company.
Yeah, I had them do my entire basement for $900.
Yeah.
Jeff, why are you not renting that house out to somebody else so they could use the garage with winter coming up?
I'm selling the house.
Oh, good.
Oh,
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's currently listed for sale?
Yes, it is.
When'd
yes.
you put it on the market? Just curious.
Pardon me?
We're going to give you a chance to promote your property. When did you put it on the market? Tell us real quick about the house.
Yeah, it's been about 2-3 months ago.
Huh?
It's
Are you listing it for sale by owner?
no, I'm not.
Okay.
Jeff,
And,
let my friend Matt Bush explain. Matt, I just had a caller. He's on the line. This is Jeff. This is a real person here calling in, and he wants to sell his property. He's had it listed for 2 months. What am I missing here?
Jeff, where's the house?
It's a great location. It's in the Rail District in Birmingham. It's 1815 Bowers. It's at the corner.
I know it
of,
well.
Yeah.
I know it well.
Yeah, you know what? We just got to clean that house up. Maybe get a cleaning lady through there, and maybe
cleaned up.
then we just got to maybe refresh the price a little bit. That's the only thing. You know, there's time and location. You obviously have the location, you have the time, so it's got to be the price. There's no two ways about it. So,
I mean, I would if I don't have that thing sold, I'm renting that thing out. The Railroad District's hot. I mean, I grew up in
Great schools.
Southfield. You got everything going for you.
yeah, that should have been a quick.
I think they reopened the Whistle Stop Cafe over there for you.
Oh,
What's
I used to
going
love
on?
that place.
Hey, just real quick, Jeff, because I want to let Jeff line. What is your real estate agent? I'm just curious. What can they tell me after 60 days why the house isn't selling? Are they going to say that Jeff just wants way too much money and it's a tear down? Because there are a lot of tear downs in your neighborhood. What are they going to tell me?
Well, I mean, you have multiple ways to go here because it's on a premium lot. It's a lot that's desirable to builders as well. It's a 7,000 square foot corner lot where you can build a 3,400 square foot 3-car attached garage home in Birmingham, which is very desirable.
yeah.
Are you on
So,
Bowers in
yeah.
Columbia? Are you on Bowers in Columbia?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know what I'm doing. Hey, look, Jeff, I'm going to call after the show, and good and bad news. We need to reevaluate your real estate agent. I don't know what's going on over there, man.
That should have been a
Those
quick
houses
sell.
are selling like mad, and I know
Yeah.
builders are buying them up. So we'll definitely give you a call after the show. Thank you for the call. All right, let's move on now. We got another call. Hey, Morris, you're calling in. Let's go ahead and hear from this. Morris, what's going on? Oh, Devin, I'm sorry. Hey, Devin, you're live on the air. Go ahead.
How you doing?
Real good. What's going on?
Not much. I'm just trying to figure out a little pickle that I'm in. I have a house that I'm living in, actually renting, and the seller is trying to sell it to me for about $150, and he wants me to cover all the closing costs. But I was told I could probably give him $10,000 over asking and take the equity out from there.
So you mean
So
give
talking
him
about
10 more and
concessions?
ask for 10,000 in concessions?
Well, yeah. So like I can give him 10 more. He pays for the concessions, or he pays for the closing costs and everything that he's asking for.
Absolutely.
And then I'm trying to figure out the best way of taking out that equity. I'm one of those, like, I want to do it right now, right then.
Well, you
And
can't.
So-
You can't do that, cowboy. But that's okay. At least help
Yeah.
him out.
Yeah, I mean, you could do that in concessions. For a house that's 150, 10,000 seems steep. You shouldn't even probably need that much. But
Yeah.
there's other programs that might be able to help you with down payment assistance where you could actually just bring the money. That way you're not increasing your loan amount.
Yeah, so we actually have this new program. It's,
Oh, yeah, I was just-
where you can actually get a $7,000 grant, and depending on where the property's located, we even get a credit for the appraisal fee. So it's definitely something that
And home
I think,
inspection?
yeah,
Or
the
home
home
warranty, I'm
yeah, the
sorry.
home warranty. So I think that we're going to give you a call after the show to make sure that you're getting set up for the proper programs. Yes, can you increase the sales price and have the seller contribute towards your closing costs if they're refusing to contribute, back
other
to their
way.
longtime renter, which I think is a shame too. But either people need to make their bottom lines, and that's fine. But there are other ways to do it, and it's just making sure that all the boxes have been checked. Did we analyze all the situations for you? That's going to set you up for success, because if we can keep a $10,000, if you can owe $10,000 less,
Yeah.
then I think it's time to kind of look at that situation too. Go ahead, man.
Devin, let me ask, how long have you been in the house?
2 years.
All right.
And the house is in Troy. It's in a great area. It's right
Yeah,
next
it is.
to
So you plan to stay there for the time being for a bit still?
for sure.
Okay. So, because at the end of the day, when you call Becky or Lisa and they do the appraisal, they're not going to give you money more than what the house is worth, right? So if the house is only worth 140, they're not going to give you another 10,000 just because they like you. So that gives you some bargaining power against your lender, or you're not your lender, but your seller, or your landlord. Hey, this is what the house is worth, so this is what we're willing to pay you. So your best bet is to call Lisa or Becky. This is exactly what I did 5 months before I bought a house. I sat down, went over with my taxes, said, hey, what's the best position for me? It just depends on what's more important to you, getting in the house for cheaper and keeping more money in your pocket so you can update it and do whatever you want to it, or having a cheaper monthly payment.
Yeah,
so
but
it's just
even-
going to be depending on what's better for you and your family.
The scenario that your landlord is presenting increases your monthly payment. People don't realize
I'm
that.
okay with it. I'm okay with bumping up
is.
the sales price $7,000 or $8,000 to cover your closing cost and prepaids to get you into the house, keeping that money in your pocket so you can use that money to fix up the house.
That's the only way that can get done. That's one thing. But there's so many other programs
Okay.
where that person doesn't have to increase their loan amount, doesn't have to increase their monthly payment. The landlord still makes the $150,000 he wants. I mean, the state of Michigan has money. We just talked about, there's a new grant that you don't even have to pay back if you
There you go.
qualify. That's a conventional loan.
I would
And
love
there's
that.
Yeah. There's so many other programs, and that way your landlord, you don't have to ask him to increase the price. He gets to get what he wants. You get what you want. And then there's just a lot of other, I hate to say the word skin a cat, but I mean, I just feel like
Peel the onion.
peel the onion. We're
onion.
going to peel the onion.
Yeah, the bottom line is that
Yeah.
we're gonna call you. We're gonna analyze your situation, and we're gonna make sure that you are taking the best steps forward, because it's not about just work. Because I'm the same way. I'm like, I want my Oompa Loompa and I want it now, but at the same time, you need to be looking down the road too to make sure that you are in a successful situation a year or two from now as well.
I'm cheap. I don't want to pay more than I have to. Sorry. I'm just going to put it out there. I mean,
I'm the same way. But
Yeah.
I understand that.
yeah, I mean,
for sure.
it's not a bad, like I said, sometimes it's the only option, and seller concessions work for that, but I think there's other options that we need to evaluate before we decide on that.
Dev, we want to be part of the success story, because
Yeah.
if you're buying this place somewhere there under 150 and in the great area, the
Troy.
great city of
Yeah.
Troy, let
Yeah.
us help you make this make sense, and then you get to call us back a year from now and go, God, guys, it was the best call I ever made.
Absolutely.
So we'll definitely be following up with you. Appreciate the call.
Thank you, guys.
Good stuff. All right, get the right people involved right away. I mean, we won't stop too. We can just keep Devin on the phone if we wanted to, and completely break down that transaction, because immediately
don't think
what's
he
going
wants
through my head is, he's maybe a 3% down buyer, conventional. Now he can only do, but if he goes a little down, he can only do 3% concessions. Well, that's not $7,000 or $10,000 on that purchase price. So,
Well,
so
Mishta-
much to know.
Mishta will give you $7,500 even on a conventional loan.
Yeah, so that's the thing is so
Right.
people think that MIJDA is only for FHA buyers,
Not
and
true.
it's
No
not.
way, right.
You can be a conventional buyer, 800 credit scores, but if you don't have the funds, there's ways to get it.
And Mishta's a great program to use, even if you have 20% down. If you're a first-time home buyer, everyone's like, well, why would you bother with Mishta? Mishta has amazing interest rates.
They do.
Mishta's rates, if you are not using down payment assistance, it's a below market rate, and they have lower mortgage insurance. So even if you're putting 10% down and you want to go Mishta, that is completely possible if you're not using assistance.
And more great news. It's
Yes.
only a 2-week program now. With the state of Michigan got all caught up. Salute to the state of Michigan.
Yeah.
They have caught up now, and they're not taking 4 weeks to get them done. Only about 2 weeks now. Hey, give us a call for all the mortgage and real estate news that you need to know. 248-539-9797. We'll be right back. All righty, we're back. If you just caught us and we were talking some movies beforehand, yes. I want it now, Dad. We'll get into some movie themes,
Violet,
too.
you're turning Violet, Violet.
Yeah, I mean, how all these movies really...
These movies were ahead of their time.
They really were. And they have a lot to do with today's
Yeah,
society
Willy
and what's
Wonka,
going
Wizard
on.
of Oz, they're ahead of their time.
All right, but we're going to talk about mortgages and real estate. Matt Bush joins the Hardcore Mortgage Show. And if you want to join the show, 248-539-9797. Again, it's always 1 hour mortgages and real estate in a nice way today because, yes, you should be calling us to really get the great information. If you don't want to work with us, that's fine. Find out what the difference is. Call Capital Mortgage Funding, 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker.
Yeah, maybe you don't want to be on air and, call us later.
Call us
Yeah.
at this office and we'll
Call
hook
us
you
at the
up.
office, yeah.
Hey, let's go out to the call. We got Greg calling in and he found a house. Greg, tell us a lot about your situation. Want to hear from you.
All right, yeah. So I am looking at. I just found a house online. I haven't looked at it yet, but I wanted before I wasted my time going out there. I want to see if I could find a way to qualify for it.
Oh, for sure. 1,000%. You got a team here that will break it all down for you. We'll probably call you off the air, but just a couple things, Greg. Are you, you sound like you didn't start the pre-approval process yet. So we can get these done literally within a few hours. Are you a self-employed person or you work for a company?
No, I work for a company.
Oh, good. Yeah, your credit's good?
Yes, yeah,
And-
right around 800.
Curious, how much money have you saved up? How much money in your head are you working with saying like, yeah, I got 20,000. I want to use all that to get into this house?
I've probably got 50 to 60,000 in equity that I should be able to get out of my current home.
Okay, so you're looking to buy, sell to buy.
Yes.
Okay. I mean, so you're definitely, so number one, you're doing it the right way. You don't want to see, you don't want to fall in love with a house and then work backwards. So definitely you want to start the conversation and obviously it's situational. Sometimes people aren't looking to buy and then you find the perfect house and you're like, wait a minute, I think I want to do this now, right? Because I'm assuming that's kind of maybe what happened where you weren't really thinking about
Yeah,
it, but you
I was-
saw the perfect house.
Right. I was looking about a year ago, and it didn't quite work out, and I couldn't qualify for enough for the houses I wanted, but a few things have changed with my income, and so I'm looking to see if I could qualify for enough.
All right. So, I mean, in my opinion, this market is 10 times better than it was even a year ago because you don't have to go in, over asking. You actually could get, ask the seller to pay for some closing costs too. So we're going to look at your situation, but obviously you sound like you're in a better position than most.
Yeah, and I was going to say, now is, like just Becky said, you don't always have to pay over asking. I have gotten the past two purchase agreements were under list price.
Yep.
By one of them, fairly significant amount.
Now, are you working with a real estate agent too?
I do have one. Yes.
Okay.
I haven't called him. I had him
Yeah.
a year ago when I was looking, yes.
Okay. So what I would suggest is we'll call you after the air or after the show and we'll analyze your situation. We'll figure it out. But we also will get you in contact with Matt here as well. So that way maybe, I understand that you had a relationship with someone and that's totally cool. But sometimes just having that separate conversation just to make sure that all the vibes are there to make sure that you are obviously being set up for success.
And plus the market's
all way
changed
around.
in the
the
past
market
year.
definitely has changed in the last year.
So Matt will make sure you know current
Yeah,
information.
where are you starting? Where are you looking to finish?
So what do you mean as far as
where are you
location?
selling?
So you have a house that you're looking to sell first, and then you're looking to buy somewhere else, right?
Yeah, both are in Saline School District.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, this is a great school district.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect. I love
the
Washtenaw
house, the
County.
house I was looking at it's already been reduced, I think, 2 or 3 times.
See? Yeah.
Perfect
Been on the market
opportunity,
a
but
while.
Yeah, and honestly, maybe these girls could even get you pre-approved without contingencies. Maybe you can pick
Possibly,
up that other house and then not be rushed to get rid of your house too. So we can put you in the right position to maximize your current asset as well.
Okay.
Greg?
Yeah, I'm excited for you. I'm glad that and this is what you're supposed to do. It's the conversations ahead of time, making sure that you're set up for success and you're not going in there like we pulled in the parking lot today, coming in hot, 2 wheels, right? You're going to make a good financial decision to make sure everything makes sense for you. I love this call.
That's a great call. Thanks.
This is exactly what the show's meant for. Is
Yep.
You got questions,
Thanks,
whether
Greg.
it's you calling for your family member, just to get a little bit of insight. This is free advice. So
This is like it's literally every week you're turning it. You're like it's a master class.
Yeah.
We talk about
Welcome to my
things,
TED Talk.
Yeah, exactly. It's a little bit different. I mean, obviously it's consumer direct, and but there's so many things that I hope that even if we just touch one person every week, then we've done our job because there's so much bad information out there
Yeah.
that you can't fight the negative enough. You cannot. You cannot.
248-539-9797. Definitely want to hear about that. Exploring new cities, new options, and new opportunities. You know, he just really said what I had some clients came in from out of state. They started Plymouth Canton area. They love Northville and Novi. And all of a sudden, now they're in the Saline area looking at houses. So great area out there. And again, Washtenaw County's jamming. Some of the best schools around. When you take a look at the list of the best schools across the state of Michigan, you'll find those cities right there. And again, that's important for a lot of families. Location is still really key.
I mean, I even have clients. So what I want everyone, we're also a national lender. So we are top 10 nationally. We are, we can do loans in all 50 states. And I even have clients that they live in Michigan and they're relocating to South Carolina. They called me yesterday. They finally found this house and they're like, can I afford this house? And I talked to them 5 months ago and they're like, well, how long is it going to take? I'm like, we just had the conversation. Like, I just need you to send me your updated pay stubs. And she's like, oh my gosh, I thought it was going to be much harder and longer than that. And I'm like, no, because we had the conversation.
We've already done the work.
Or we already did all the work ahead of time. So now it's just a matter of me.
Couple updates. We're good.
And it's like way under their top end budget. And now they're going to be sinking into their beautiful, perfect home in South Carolina, and I'm so happy for them. And they relocated. They got their relocation letter so the husband can work remotely and all the things that I had them working on ahead of time. But if they didn't call me, they would have been working backwards. And so you cannot start the conversations soon enough, people.
I can't stress this enough. Who you work with matters. If we're professionals and we do this 24/7, we don't sell leggings on the side. We don't work at Home Depot 9 to 5.
Leggings.
We
nothing
do
wrong
this.
with leggings, though.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with leggings or makeup or athletic,
Right.
whatever. But when you do this 24/7, 365 a week, there's a process. We know the process like the back of our hand.
It's a protocol.
Yes.
We have our daily fundamental protocols every day.
It's Saturday morning and we're working right now.
Oh, it's so much fun. 248-539-9797. I know you want to sneak that phone call in if you're listening. Matt, what were you saying?
I was just saying, it's like you go to your accountant, right? And he tells you, all right, this is how much you need to pay the IRS or you're going to be in trouble. You pay your IRS bill that much because you trust your accountant.
Yeah, you don't even question it. You don't even question it.
So when you go to your banker, your realtor, and they say, all right, these are the steps that we have to take to make you successful in your home search, and then you want to deviate, or you think, well, what if we do this instead, or what if we go askew and jump over there? That's
That's
how
a
we
really
get in
good point.
trouble.
That is a really good point.
It is.
And I like, why is that? Because you're right. I don't question my accountant. I'd be like, okay, well, can we find more write-offs? Okay, that's fine. We can, or whatever.
Right.
But people do question. Well, I'm going to call 5 other people. I'm going to talk to my cousin's brother, sister that bought a house 2 years ago, and the experience
bought a house
is
30
different.
years ago.
Yes, it's different. Like that is true. Like they do. It is a lot of questions out there as far as, and I need to know, why do you question it?
I tell my clients all the time, I said, I don't care if you think the question is stupid, please ask me. So I had a client call me yesterday. They are like $200 short in their bank account. They would have to pay some EMD. They're not getting paid till I forget, like Tuesday. She's like, but she always has cash around her house. Not significant, but she's like, can I put $200 cash in my bank account because you're always saying don't deposit cash.
Yeah.
Guess what? I love you for calling me and asking me that question. Absolutely. $200, not such a big deal. Nobody's, it's not thousands of dollars. And it's more important that you get that in there and get the EMD in. You know what I mean? Because we don't have time to liquidate. She has a big account, but it's a 7 to 10
People
day
do have a lot
process.
more cash just laying around their house these days. It's like they're like there's a lot of mattress money for
Right.
them.
I mean, I have a little,
get it in the bank.
side. Well, just because you never know, right? And if I'm home, I don't have to run to the bank or whatever. But I always tell them I would rather you ask because I want you to get the correct information. And even if it's just a quick text or a quick call, you know what I mean? Wouldn't you rather know? Because if the question was, can I put $2,000 in the bank? The answer would have been no.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So every question is important. And I think all of us here, it doesn't matter how many times you ask or how many times you call us. Wouldn't you rather them ask us prior to them doing whatever they think they're going to do so we can give them the correct information?
And I wasn't trying to shoot down questions.
Right.
I like you welcome questions because
Right.
it keeps the lines of communication open.
Right.
I want you to feel as comfortable in every step and
Correct.
facet of the process, right?
Right.
I don't want you to have any weariness at the closing table after you're making the biggest commitment of your life.
Correct,
Let's iron out all the questions you could possibly have,
Right.
but know that I'm coming from a position where this is all I do.
Correct.
Okay,
Yeah.
I don't do anything except real estate. So when
Right.
I tell you, hey, this is the answer, I'm happy to explain the why behind it, but that's the reason why there's an answer.
Right.
Okay, so
There's-
I
there
just
is an
thought
answer
about
behind
it. So I feel
Talk
like
about
so
human
in those
nature here, Beck, right?
Yeah,
Human nature.
It is human nature. And I feel like, so what happens is like, let's just say someone doesn't qualify right now. And they talk to me. I'm like, hey, it's not right now. It's not if, it's just going to be when. But then they don't like what they're hearing. So then they call and they call and they call and they call and they find that one person that's going to tell them what they want to hear. And then that's when they get set up for failure because they're not getting good advice.
Yeah, they had to something. They came back to me.
Literally, then it's probably the person you talked to in the beginning.
It wasn't. I felt really bad though because they wanted to get pre-approved. They had a number in their head. They were nowhere close to that number. They just didn't. The numbers weren't there. When you have student loans, it can affect your ability to get a mortgage, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a debt.
When often, especially with the pandemic, when we pulled student loans, they did not have any minimum payments. So when we merge this into a credit, like the credit report, into an underwriting engine, and this is more technical. Do you guys want to know? It doesn't show. I'll show zeros. If you do not take the time to go through every trade line and make sure you're counting everything, a loan officer who just pulled credit, merged it in quick, saw your credit score, knew how much you made, gave you a pre-qualification, and said, "Great, that's what happened." Well, this person had $170,000 worth of student loans,
Oh boy.
and when push came to shove, couldn't qualify.
We only
They
have to
came
use
back.
0.5% of that, but that's a huge debt. Hey, you guys, we're
It's
less
huge.
than a minute out. I
Yeah.
just want to say this. Buyers are definitely more cautious during, and these are conservative times. So the market's a little unpredictable. So get this quality behind you. Get this
Yes.
great real estate agent. Get this lender behind
Get
you
Matt
that's
behind
really
you.
going to help
Yep.
you. Get Matt Bush behind
Yes.
you. Remax first. You guys wrap us up real quick.
MyFirstHouse.com.
All right. That's it. Fair
Give
enough.
us a call anytime. We're
Yes.
here. We'll be here next Saturday, same bat time, same bat channel. I love it. I
Maybe
love
you'll
what
get
we
your
do.
Oompa
Yeah.
I love what we do. And any way that we can help you, you cannot start, like I said, a million times, start the conversation, get properly pre-approved, and keep it locked in every Saturday in the Hardcore Mortgage Show.
There you go. One-on-one seminars at Capital Mortgage Funding. So 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker. And that's definitely going to catch you here next Saturday. Again, happy holidays out there. Drive safe, and we'll see you soon.
Go USA.